This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany S. Price. I am a fine artist and muralist here in Los Angeles, California, and I'm so excited to welcome you to the Diaspora Dialogues as part of the 2021 Day of the Ancestors Festival of Mask at the Leimert Park Art Walk. So before we begin, we would like to let you know that the following part of this conversation will be recorded, and there will be a live opportunity for Q&A with both of today's artists. So stay tuned after this recording for a chance to ask any questions you may have. So as today's theme for the Diaspora Dialogues, we are covering the Senegal visual arts and the cosmology of the Dogon. Today we have two amazing culture bearers that are going to have a wealth of knowledge to share with us today. So I'm excited to get into this conversation. We're gonna go ahead and start with Aziz, visual artist. Go ahead and tell us about yourself as well as great things that you do for the community.
Thank you. My name is Aziz Gang. I am here in Leimert Park as a visual artist. Have a gallery in 3343 43rd Street. And basically doing art for the community and helping introducing young artists, to the art business and helping them create a portfolio, of gallery and things like that. Then, in teaching art in the gallery, like printmaking and glass painting in the community for 35 years. Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Aziz. Awesome. And if we can also have, we have today the Honorable Abdul Latif, educator and historian. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, Abdul Latif.
My name is Abdul Latif Tunkara. I'm here in Fresno, so I don't see what you people are doing down there very often, but I'm here. My background is essentially I was a visual artist who converted into performing arts. And a lot of the things we had to do were dealing with masquerade, depending on the performance, and dealing with that. Plus, I've had to, in traveling in different parts, 8 different countries in West Africa, you get to go to shrines if you wish. So that has an impact on you if you just live and see things and you see them from a different point of view than the Western traditional point of view, per se.
Yes, your perspectives are so profound, and we're so excited to see what the conversation is going to bring us or where it's going to bring us. All right, so we did talk about the Dogon. Latif, can you touch on the Dogon mask and masquerade? I know you might have a presentation for us.
An African tradition. Masquerades are like multimedia events that include not one but several masked dancers embodying, for example, annual Egungun masquerades, bring the ancestors back to town dressed in large sumptuous cloths. Families usually own the masquerades, so as many as possible who can afford the cost of elaborate costumes and other requirements for participating are represented in the week-long festival. This is Egungun. The Dogon Dama has at least 70 masks, big difference, right? That comprise a visual summary of the Dogon world, from the creation to the present. In contrast to these larger masks, the Chokwe and Kuba require only 2 to 3 masks representing ancestral spirits, and that's a whole different part of Africa. You just went from West Africa to Southeastern Africa. The function of masquerades in African communities are symbolic resurrections of ancestors, you would say in English. For the Ifeku Ibaji Egu masquerade, both symbolized by ancestral shrine as well as represented by the resurrected spirits of the dead elder, whose appearance and performance played a protective and regulatory role in the affairs of the living. Masquerades include lots of music and dancing. They're used for entertainment purposes as well as celebrating rituals such as rites of passage, funerals, death, whatever it may be. Speaking to the dead is an African tradition and cultural heritage communication. There are many disguises, spirits, deities, ancestors, and nature spirits, which are those that inhabit streams, rivers, rocks, and other natural forms, get involved in the affairs of people by invitation or not, if you hear me clearly. When a spirit wishes to interact with humans, it appears to a man or woman in a dream and reveals to him in its name, personality, and what it can do in his community on his behalf. The spirit also indicates how it wants to be embodied. If the spirit chooses to be embodied in a mask, it may specify human form, male or female, or beautiful or unattractive features that may be consistent with its actions. So there are many composite things that happen also. Some spirits dictate they're to be manifested in masks that represent neither humans or animals, but a composite, which is a mixture of composite of both, which combines the feature of both entirely imaginary creatures. These are usually the dangerous nature spirits, which masks are usually used in men's secret societies. If you know what, like Portal, different ones, okay? Not everyone gets to join the society. It's not discriminations. There's certain knowledge, so not everyone gets to just say, I want to become, no. So you must realize that. Artists are inspired to create masks which appear mysterious, awesome, and frightening, as well as exemplified by the all-seeing Janus form headdress and the Como mask, which features an array of animal horns with sharp tips. They're used Bimbe and Senufo. Senufo is like in Burkina Faso societies whose membership is closed to females and uninitiated males. Animal disguises. Some spirits choose to be embodied in a form with animal characteristics. This includes masks which represent many mild and a few domesticated animals, such as antelopes, warthogs, elephants, buffaloes, birds, a butterfly, and a goat. In performance, the masked dancers imitate the animals' movements in dance steps and gestures. Their gestures serve as models for positive human behavior and social conduct through entertaining performances that carry a serious message. Because of their intelligence, size, strength, or aggressive behavior, some animals like elephants and buffaloes are metaphors for royal power, embody the spirits of royal ancestors. There are also cultural hero disguises. Cultural heroes are usually legendary or mythological figures who did something significant, such as introduce agriculture, iron, religion, something notable in society, which or found a ruling dynasty. Examples of culture heroes are the Yoruba Epa mask wearing the carbureting of the Osanyin, the great healer and herbalist. A Mokinga mask is an Amut who brought civilization to Kuba people. A Chihuahua, that's now you're back in Mali again. Headdress referencing mythical antelope, which introduced agriculture to the Bamana. So you can have a mask for many different reasons, but usually the societies that are displaying them are, you have to be into the society or allowed in and initiated some way. And originally to do the dance and to know the knowledge and to go further in it. So if you just went as a visitor because you wanted to watch somebody do the dance, etc., that's good. But if you want to be initiated, it's going to take investment, a lot more time and energy to actually for them to teach you and show you and educate you on how to either carve it, do the dance, play the drumming. There's more to it than just observing it, quite a bit more.
And for the Dama, is it also a rite of passage for like manhood?
Yeah. There's many rites of passage, not only for manhood, they also do them for women too, when you get into a part of Manjani and different dances in West Africa. So there's rites of passage were part of life. See, so here you don't have it, and some of the people in the African American community started making a few things, trying to make it happen, kept up with it. But there were distinct rites of passage, usually in most African societies. And so the good part was, if you as a young man disappear for 6 to 8 weeks, you're taught about not your body, about woman's body and responsibility, rather than I like her and that's it. No, you're taught something. You're taught responsibility and respect and other things. Even you're taught how to cook. You can't just sit there and do nothing. You're part of the society, and in the village, it's a circle. And so if you're playing in the village in the circle of performing, everyone's included, even the grandma or the grandpa who's just sitting in a chair, snapping her finger or clapping her hand, or grandpa. They may not be able to turn a flip, but they still included. So you're never not included in the village. And the same thing still applies, even though they use proscenium stages and stuff nowadays in most of the big cities, it's still included. So people are going to respond the same as, you go to a movie and African American people will be talking to the movie. If that gives you an example, there's always an inclusion. So it's not like we're separate and you just observe and be quiet. No, we're part of this. Does that give you a clearer picture of everything?
Yeah, everyone has a part within the whole.
And that's from Africa to across the Americas too, because when you go into Bahia province in Brazil, which is mostly Yoruba, and you go into what do you call it, Belize, which is Akan, and you go into Peru, Cuba, Puerto Rico, you have different celebrations and masquerade, what do you call those things, Mardi Gras, and they're all part of a mass procession in some way. And even then, sometimes the people to get to participate, you can participate and just do your dance. But if you want to go further and do it to get into the drumming or something, you have to be taught certain things and know or be proficient enough to know what you're doing. You can't just jump up and play anything.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Abdul Latif. And Aziz, I know that you have some personal connection to the Dogon, and it's also influenced your visual work. Can you speak to that, please?
But that more influence, I basically use all their symbols, masks, you know, astrological, you know, trace. Those are the things I use for my artwork, and maybe it was a way to you know, since the day maybe around 90, the 90, that's when I start being aware of it. It's a shame, but well, yeah. And then after that point, I started using it in my work, basically all the symbols, the things, because Mali and Senegal was one in the past. Actually, the flag, before we have the star, actually the sign in the top of it, like doing like this, that was a Dogon sign. That was there before the you know. Then there is, you know, I use it, and actually some of the work you have there, maybe one of the one in the center will be a Dogon sign. And in the past, I used it in the 96 Olympic, you know, to represent the astrological things, symbols of them. But for them, you know, wasn't anything I communicated with. That was just a new find for me, and I put it in every single things I did have in that time.
I think right now would be a great time to go ahead and see visually some of your artwork that's been inspired by the Dogon. If we could have some images up, please.
Yeah. Okay, that's exactly the one right there. Then basically the image on the middle, then you see that in most of their, the flags. That was the one was in the flag on, you know, in Senegal, the vert, jaune, rouge, like green, yellow, red, and this sign in the middle. The head is a little bit different. And the rest, the combination of Mali and Ghanaian symbols, like, you know, things like that. That's the painting at the top. And this is printmaking is basically, this is the class I have here, and this is what I teach in Lemont Park, how to create your own, you know, work. And basically this is when people come, oh, I can't paint, something like that. And I tell you, oh yeah, you can. You Black and you're African is somewhere in you. You just pull it out. Then I give them little tools, just information, and they come up and they will come up with some amazing work. But that would have been the influence, you know, coming from the Dogons, you know, the Liberian, Ghana, some part of Ivory Coast, those signs. Next.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. And I love the way that you you update the symbols as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, then the way I put them as a staff, basically, actually, in the second painting, I have a painting I don't have here, but basically, I will take each one of them. There is a continuity of the painting because each staff, I will put a head on it. Basically, is an accomplishment of that person. Then, you know, then basically like that, except the one in the middle. Then basically is a combination of masks. If you go to, just to go to a dictionary for a Adinkra symbol, you will see like a couple of them are, you know, the 2 or 3 symbol actually together. I put there. Then you can recognize them. They staff by staff, either 3 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
Then all of them that they made like that. But I want to make the mask unique to me. I didn't want to just use a Sankofa. You go get the market, get you a Sankofa, and I call it mine. No, I can't do that. Then what I would take the Sankofa, take another sign, put them together and make it uniquely mine. This is the first time you ever see it. but
Yes.
that will make it uniquely mine, and anybody can do the same. Then you can put them together in a way is pleasable and everybody is like acceptable. And people will, you can't force an image to people. You have to present it in a way they will accept it.
Yes, and I love how beautifully that translates into our theme for the Festival of Mass, which is Chökkan. We're looking back from the past, bringing into your future, much in a single way. Yes, and the fact that you personalize the traditional symbols is amazing. You bring new life to them.
That was the objective.
Yes, very beautiful.
That's actually that I put that all over my floor in the gallery. I use them like a prayer. They basically a prayer, and maybe the person who most of them it was a good intention when the person was doing it. That signified this, and all of those they look like achievement somebody want to attribute to them. Some of them you have to take it, attribute it to somebody else, and then that's basically what's the goal.
Yes, and I know
it's made clear.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I know, Aziz, you had mentioned something about that as well in our talks before about having masks having a spirit about them and not necessarily it just being a physical mask. Can you touch upon that, please?
Yeah, the Kankuran, like basically in like Senegal, they really don't use the masks are not used the same way as other part. No, it's used the same way, but usually the mask is physical. They will change their face. They will wear a certain type of clothes. You can't not recognize the person who's under the mask. It's not something to reveal. Then even if you wouldn't know, you would not have the nerve to say it, to mention it. Basically, they go to trends. They will go to usually you can just say is somebody who disappeared from the neighborhood. Maybe it's this guy. Maybe the guy who traveled last week. Maybe that's him, or something like that. Will be man, woman, or something like that. Then they will go to a village somewhere, or basically in the forest or something like that. And usually they call it the Bois Sacré, the Hollywood. Then they will go there and they will do all the masks, do their things. Then basically after that, they will, come with their drums, the mask. Everybody is a specific time, exact time every single year. And they do it. And most of the time too is coincide with the young people coming to manhood, circumcision, all those coincide in that time. Then basically each single one of them represent a spirit. But that's the only thing if you know that's Terrence right there, you do not have the nerve to even say it. But usually you don't even know. The only one who knows is them. But basically that embody a folklore, that embody history, because his grandfather, ancestor been using the same formula to say. Then we don't have really. They will change their face to a lion. They will embody the whole spirit of the lion. The other one have a tiger. That different animals, basically. Then is a tradition. They just like, and each ethnic group have one completely different. Special drum for the thing. They have special rhythm for just those. Even in the regular, parties and things like that, they playing drums. They will never play that kind of song or using that kind of instrument. It's specifically for just that. Then maybe that will be for somebody who don't know. Maybe give you just a little insight of what, but I'm sure I couldn't sit here and explain all of it, you know. And the truth is, is just what I see, and I use them in my work, and is just like a profession. You have to learn it. It's not something you just inherit. There is some African American in Senegal who know more about Senegal than I know. You know, just like that. There will be African American right here, never left town, and they know things in Africa. You have to learn it. It's too big, Africa. For any African to tell you they know all Africa doesn't exist. Is, you know, you specialize in groups. And after you get there, you will see 1 million other things you never see before, and even know they existed. It's huge, it's big.
Going on, and like, you can't learn from Google the nuances of culture. You know what I mean?
No, you can't. You can't. Just like the picture I have from the Festival of the Mask a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, you know, like you will see things you never see together. You see them, they individual places, but you come to the festival, this festival, you come, you will see people passing. You know, you can even see a Mexican a tradition that is close to a doggone things. You know, like you wonder where it come from, but what is that connection? And things like that.
Yeah.
Then I just use my visual to my work. That's the extent to that's maybe my way of pushing it forward. You know, they was doing it to do it annually. Then here I have it in thousands of people's living room, and I am an art show explaining this. Some of them have to be rectified a little bit. Sometimes I explain to somebody who been in that place more than I even did. You know, things like that. And they confirm either what I say, they like the work, they take it, and things like that. Then happen many times.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, even the way that Abdul in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and then even with your work, Aziz, how you're taking traditional ways and symbols that are familiar to people, and you're creating your own remix. And so even in today's world, we have ways of seeing the past, but sometimes we might not even recognize it as being tradition.
Yeah, and it's embedded in every Black person. You don't realize it. You don't even never have to see it. You will just write it somewhere. You know, and you'll just pull it down there. Especially artists. The learning is important, but you keep on your DNA. You know, there's nothing you can you can avoid it. Yeah, but it's there.
Yes, absolutely. Don't want to misquote this, but it's like the theory that nothing is created nor destroyed, but just moved around.
Yeah.
Well, there's energy can be transmuted and changed from what you call energy has no color. It's not black, white, no color. Then it goes into spirit, and then into matter. And when you burn up the matter, let's say if I burn you up, then it becomes carbon, becomes energy. You can never get rid of energy, and you can never get rid of matter. You can transmute it, change it, but it won't disappear. The Akashic records of things, sometimes it's in your DNA and it's in your spirit. Now the rest is, do you know that and recognize that? Okay. Like what Aziz was saying, there's so many different types. Africa has 56 countries, but you know there's 315 languages, dialects in Nigeria alone. I think maybe 25 or 40 in Senegal, 2,000 in Congo. So Africa has a lot of diversity, but doesn't mean everybody who's Black speaks the same language, do the same thing. And that's where the confusion comes in, because people keep thinking that everything is similar. Like, oh, you know, I go down to some Shona guy talking about Baoni, he's going to say, what? He's a completely different part of Africa. And
Yes.
they don't do the same thing. So there are things in common in terms of doing a masquerade, certain food, etc. But a lot of it is a difference between Florida and where you are in LA.
Yes. And I love that you brought up that point, Abdul Latif, because I feel like we're in a part of culture right now where we're forcing general categories on people, even with titles like people of color. No, I'm Black. And I feel like it's one of those things of we're not respecting or even acknowledging culture differences.
Well, you have to, I don't know, the English language, I had an epiphany one day. I read a book and it said the English language starts with an A, English. And the root of the English language was to get the angle on you conceptually. I said, oh. Play with you if you don't pay attention. I don't need you to believe anything. Believe, B-E. What are the next three letters? L-I-E. They just told you be the lie. Ooh. So if you don't pay attention to what you're saying in the English and American language, they're putting things in your mind that are falsehoods. In any African language, if I said, Matudo ability Baltungara, no tudo. Tell them what I said, Aziz.
No tudo.
I want to know.
I said, my name is Abdulati Baltunkara. No tudo is one of four. What is your name? If I said in Yoruba, Meruko ni Abdulati Baltunkara, kini uruku re? I just said the same thing in another language. I'm saying, but and what we do as opposed to the commercialism and everything is about commerce that the Europeans bring. And you have to keep that in mind because you're dealing with it every day. Every day, spiritually, mentally, everything. And sometimes it's onerous. It's ugly.
I'd actually love to hear from both of you about, I mean, from what I've read about you both and just talking to you, you've been culture bearers and dedicated your life to informing the community of the beauty of our culture. And if you could talk a little bit about what that means to have intentionality and also to be a culture bearer and having your art as a vessel. Music could be a Abdul Latif.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Good. Well, I'm an anomaly because I'm an actually autodidact, which is a self-learned historian. I used to sit around and I loved, my mother was the only child, but I had 10 aunts and uncles. And so I used to always love to hear the elders because I would hear the real history as opposed to whatever I read in school. It wasn't true. As an example, once I took a truck into Mexico. I went to Juarez. Señor, is the aviso Ricardo. He said, no, you must drive because if I drive it, the federales stop me. So I thought I was going half an hour. I went so far south into Mexico, I turned green. I turned to the right and went west. I ended up in a city called Santa Maria del Oro. I'm sitting at the cantina. Now it's 11 o'clock at night. He says, you see that bush right there? Yeah, that's where they killed Pancho Villa. And the story of what did Pancho Villa represent? He was fighting a war with the Batistas against the I think the Spanish or French. And so actually the story was Pancho Villa made money. He was the Robin Hood of Mexico. And so when he came one time, he came to America and said, hey, to the gringo, hey, I need some ammunition. They said, sure, boy, here, take this and get on. He got back there in the middle of battle. He found out he had some blinks. People died. He came back and said, hey, people died. What about this? They said, boy, you better get out of here. He said, okay, I'll make it good myself. When he came back again, he killed them. So in America, he's known as this terrible thief. But in Mexico, the real story. So I had to live that story like, wow. I rode back on a bus called Estrella Blanca. Nobody called me no N-word. Nobody shot me. And I went all the way from deep in Mexico to Juarez, got on a plane and flew back to Fresno. Talking about different things when you, I've been in different parts of Nigeria and you go different parts of Cote d'Ivoire, the difference between Yoruba and Mandi, the cultural differences, but yet we're still all African. So there's a culture of being African that makes no difference where you come from. When Aziz was talking the other day, he said, no, we're told if someone comes to your house, you better feed them. They better be better fed than when they came the other way with nothing. You hear this, and this is the Africa you don't hear as much about. This is what holds us together, that civility. And so it's in the culture of the culture of the clothing and the mask making. All the embroidery and stuff you see, that's West African. East Africa.
Yeah.
They don't make it. So sometimes you have to be appraised and realize where this stuff originates from, and the difference between what you see Senegal, Mali, Guinea, as opposed to Nigeria, Ghana. It's a different type of printing and embroidered everything. So you get into the symbols, like if Aziz was going to tell you the difference between Manding and then Akan, and then even the Yoruba and there was a language there. We had a written language, Manding, and other ones. But if you listen to the European, we never did nothing. We're waiting for him to explore and to find us and to let us know that you must speak this one language. So in the history, you'll find out there's not only Manding, there's about 25 other languages in South Africa alone. So the truth is coming out, but a lot of us, we don't know it and we don't know how to access it. So if you want to say culture bearer, sometimes as an artist, we're interested in keeping the truth. And so we keep it, we live it.
Yes.
And that's the difference between some of the other things you may encounter in this world, per se, if that helps you.
Absolutely. I love that anecdote because it also inspires to seek the truth for yourself, to stay hungry and really build on those experiences for yourself and not just take the book or.
You have to remember the book has a publisher and a writer with an intention that may not be honest.
Yes. Consider the source.
Yeah, all of that.
Yes. Aziz, did you have anything that you'd like to say while we're still on the topic of being a culture bearer and dedication to truth?
Well, this is what I am doing. I've been in my truth for 40 years in the US, doing exactly the same things I really like to do and want to do. And that's basically I am still, doing. Just through the art. Everything I have to offer is from art. I don't know too much. I don't know anything else than that. Art and culture. That's my. I don't want to say gift because I don't believe in that. Then that's my, that's my endeavor. That's what I been practicing for this long, and freely can give it and teach it, do every other things.
Yes.
And I did like.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, what's your opposition against gifts? What's your opposition against gifts? Why do you like that term?
They things. Nobody scientifically can tell me somebody is gifted. You push your son or daughter to do a sewing machine. You can teach them mechanic and they come up to be a dancer. They have to learn it. They have. We have an ease. Some people can do it easily, but so you can do it easily, but you have to learn it. Okay, you can't just come and gifted. You go have all the algebra and mathematical formula. It's not possible. There is no a package just imprinted in your brain. They have to have a routine. But God, I think, or the Creator created each individually unique. The same way we see that circle, is completely different than the person who, you know, like you take three people, show them one thing, each one of them have a unique way of seeing it. And that's the unique way that's maybe you can see, you know, like you give them the formula, this will take 3 steps and find it. The other one take 200 steps and find it. One will don't take no, it's just like that, go press it and that's it. Then, you know, I did think practice making everything perfect, but I don't think it's a gift. At least nobody, maybe I didn't it to me a gift, but I never see anyone who have it.
No, I absolutely agree. And I feel like the term gift is almost dismissive of the dedication and the hours spent to craft. Yeah.
Then is the same, somebody's doing all their work and you trying to thank the Lord for it. Just say it's God who gives them. God don't give, God already, or the concept of God, put everything out there. You pick them yourself. You put a combination of things and that make you. Because we all unique.
Absolutely.
We all, and we need a teacher who come and push you the way you can learn, you know, faster, because they see it all, something like that. But, you know, I don't have a problem with gift, but I don't understand it.
Yes.
I never see somebody gifted, that's why. I see Michael Jackson practice every day and be Michael Jackson.
That part.
You know, then like that.
Did you have something to add on that, Abdul Latif?
I personally, in a sense, I agree. But when they say, this is what I'm saying, the difference between what they call English and the word gift. So as you said in the beginning, you said DNA. Okay, Zakaria Saljouf, when he was first playing drums, he used to have Mario on his back when he was playing the classes. Mario heard his daddy drum so much. Then the second son, Ibrahima, because Zach was actually a dancer before, so they had a proclivity. And they grew up doing it quicker. But it's not necessarily just, like he said, gift. No, they got better at it. But they heard it and they felt it even before they're walking on the ground, if that helps you. So sometimes you have that type of thing. The information is transferred by the rhythm in that man's body or that woman's body. And if you're carrying a baby, the baby hears things and feels things too. So when they come out, maybe they know a little bit of something. Is that a gift? Not really, not according to what Aziz said. You know, the word is innocuous. Gift? Okay, what is that?
I just believe if somebody say you gifted, they reducing your talent. That's how I see it. When you say, Brittany, you gifted. Yeah, you practice a lot to get to that thing, you know. Then you gifted because you work for it, and you maybe achieve it easily than the other ones. But I don't want to go.
Yeah, let's not go too far off of the desk. But I thought that was a great point.
But you know, like you will see when the mask, you know, the mask festival of the mask passing through Dagenham, you sit there and you will see every 2 seconds you will see a total different imagination, a total different culture, a combination of culture, and a made-up culture. There is somebody over there who's so cultural, but he's not attached to any culture, but he have it in his mind. You know, when you know his conception, and he will manifest that in that mask. You know, then it's just the same. You go to Star Trek. You see the new generation, they will create some Ferengi from them. It's basically, there is any kind of things you imagine, there is a mask like that exists somewhere.
Yes.
Somebody there. Then,
so going back to the theme of Chosan, which is taking things from the past and using it for your future, what are ways that or traditional practices of mass that we see in modern day? Abdul Latif, do you have any input on that?
Well, the mask is, there's the physical mask, the makeup mask that people wear, they call it, I personally don't like the term makeup. It implies that you're deficient. So why listen to it? So you have to listen to what is mask. And so you will see it, the Halloween mask is not, for me, it's not really appropriate because in our culture, the mask wasn't just made to scare you and pretend that we're scaring you. Like everything in this culture is about scaring you. You go to a movie to get scared. You pay money to get scared. You go back to the doctor and hope you're not scared no more. Okay, they scare you. Everything's about what? Creating supposed emotional fear. So what is the mask? And you're afraid of everything. The mask is not about that. It holds secrets. So what you see is, as these will say, the cubism or the modern society of cubism that came from Picasso forward is a view of, and like you said, I heard him when he said he put it together, and he was describing the picture. So we think that way. I don't know if you're following this, but it's not one specific picture or idea that is it. That's part of it. But whatever you saw 200 years ago is not quite the same thing you're going to see exactly now.
Yeah.
It may be part of the foundation, but it won't be exactly the same. So there's always a room in there to allow certain things to be there. So if I do a chihuahua from the original one from 200 years ago, 300, yeah, but the newest one, it might have to be made of a different wood because they don't have the same wood. And so it may slightly be different, but the basic idea will be there. It's the father, the mother, the child. And so the concepts are the same. So when he's talking about going between the Adinkran symbols and then going to the man symbol. But if you go home, somebody might get upset. You have different mentalities, but that is true. And so I like what he's saying, using it in a different way because we're using it to quote, if you want to say, share knowledge and enlighten people.
Yes, absolutely. And just the idea that traditions are living and breathing and not untouchable, but approachable.
There's a foundation, but the same, it's not necessarily the same cement you have here as I have in, let's say, Fresno, or the same cement in Dakar, or the same cement in Lagos. It's cement. It may not be the same country, the same chemical structure. It's still cement. Absolutely. But that helps you. The foundation is foundation, but it is not immutable. It can be actually changed.
Yes.
And the mask, like how it, for example, in New Orleans, you go to a mask is a little bit different. Is a new way of trying to get out of Aziz and Brittany and trying to be Susan and Max for a day. Okay. That's a little bit different. Is not different, but maybe is more modernized because I am tired of being Aziz every day. If there is a night I can wait from.
Must be hard.
Huh?
I said it must be hard.
Yeah, I'm just saying like that is to just one day to rest from yourself and be a mask and be somebody completely different. Anything you do under that mask have nothing to do with Brittany, have nothing to do with Aziz, have nothing to do with Abdullah, like that. Yeah. That is another way of using the mask. They have that, like even in Africa they have it. I don't know how to call it here, but they have the same things in New Orleans. You know, that's
Yeah.
my city, right? Then you can go to a party and you can go all the way to the other end. And when
Whoever
you
you
take
want.
that, huh?
And be whoever you want to be.
Yeah, yeah. Then
Yeah.
then basically is basically embodying a spirit. It's just like you can call it the same, you know, because
Yeah.
you know maybe you know the person inside you is right there.
Yeah, you know what? That's pretty interesting to think of, because in a much more practical sense, the world has completely changed in the last year with COVID and having to wear masks. But I feel like when I go to the grocery store, I don't have to worry about putting makeup on or even doing my hair or worry about like what I'm wearing, because nobody knows who I am under my mask.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to round things out a little bit with a little brief summation of our whole conversation. Wow, I feel like we've really covered historically the Dogen Festival of Mass, also taking that into today and how we have Mardi Gras as well as COVID masks and also makeup and accepting titles as your mask and assuming it or not. I'm hearing a lot of themes of orally, not just through Google, of people, the community coming together and really making sure that these traditions are passed on, and just really tapping into your ancestry and whether or not you are you're cognizant of all of the traditions and of our ancestors. With when you're creating, it's there, and you're making your own remix, as Aziz has been doing. Yeah, and so I kind of wanted to see if you have any closing remarks or how we can take this information that we talked about today and empower our tomorrow. Let me ask that one more time. I want to use the information that we've covered today, all this historical past, and use as well as tomorrow.
Vas-y, s'il vous plaît.
I think the first thing is to genuinely teach, you know, like you really can't teach them, but you can give them all the tools and, you know, like all the big information of, you know, something that the building block. Then, yes, you know, that things then we already have. Then basically what you're giving them is basically minimum, but you know, everybody need it. You know, like you need to teach, to pass forward, regardless of who you are. Somebody give you something. You sitting there, yes. I don't know your family. Somebody give you a bunch of things, not you only, your aunt, that crazy aunt, that you know, tonton who come there, you know, like cousin who come once every 6 months. Each one of them participate in your being. And then it's and these things we're doing, I think to feel like I did something, I want to give this shortcut to leave the shortcut to a new, you know, this generation, and not only teach it, but teach it to somebody who can teach it. Then basically that's really my goal right here. If I succeed doing it for 2 years, I am successful. That's how. And you know, I could have done other things. Actually, I was doing something else, like the museum I am building in Senegal. There is one side is not, this time is not artistic. Painting museum in the world, there is not one.
Wow.
The one I am building will be a hut, okay? Wouldn't be anything huge or something like that. But the building will be conceived from the architect to the end as a glass painting museum. Then that never existed. People will find their grandmother's house, they will turn it to a gallery or to a museum. But this, actually the recipe say I got is like to make it the #1 in Senegal, you know, like, and basically the #1 thing. Then basically this is a property I have since the 80s. And that was the first money I ever made. Then I have that piece of property, and now just so happen to be in very desirable location. I was going to build an apartment building. This will be my retirement money. After I start everything, before I do the construction, I said, no, hell no. I don't want to be no landlord. Then they designed a museum for me. We'll have a residency in the top of it. Then I can bring, and I am visualizing next year, this time will be completely working and functioning.
Wow,
next
that
year.
is amazing.
Yeah. It's completely done and is an oceanfront property right on the water. And the idea is when it's open, I will let a curator, I will give like priority to Los Angeles, New Orleans, Atlanta, those 3 cities. Then every month somebody can come have a full ride, not the ticket, okay? But they will get somewhere, they will get some, maybe I will be rich that time to give them the ticket, but they will get a chef and a house for 30 days for free.
Oh, wow.
Then
please let us know when those applications go out.
Yeah, and basically my non-profit, I already have it, and I am donating that to the non-profit. Wow. You know, then basically that's what I am doing. If you have any kind of help administrating, I have this big idea. I don't know how this help these things around, to tell you the truth. But I did know I will go. I know a lot of fine people who I trust, then who have my interest, my back when I needed them, or when I don't need them. They, you know, like then those are the ones who gonna help.
Narrative, and it will happen.
Yeah. Then basically, and it's not the traditional nonprofit trying to go beg the money out and something like that. Everything is in place already. Mm-hmm. Then basically it's just make it work. That's the only things like, and it would be that one. I own the property outright. There's no bank involved of anything. Everything is paid for cash. You know, then it's just simple as that. Then, you know, then basically that's my connect. Then that's the bridge I am trying to build to answer your thing. That was just to give you that. That's the bridge I am trying to build from here, from artists visual artists, okay? The sculpture, that kind of, you know, like dancers maybe come later when we're comfortable. But singers, we come later when we're comfortable. But it's specifically exactly visual artists, sculptor, painters, those kind of things, and include riders or something like that.
Yes.
Then that's basically my goal, to have that bridge, take African American artists to be specific from here to there, and take artists from there to here, do that exchange. Then that's basically
beautiful.
That's a single goal for this gallery.
That is so such a pure and earnest desire, and the work that you're doing in order to make that actually happen. It's going to be life-changing for the artists. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Both of you, Abdul Latif and Aziz, your trees have so many fruits that is bared. So just a wonderful legacy to leave behind. And I just love how you put earlier, Aziz, where you said that anyone that you meet, you leave them better than you first initially met them. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening in this room today. Abdul Latif, how we can take our conversation today and use it for our tomorrow.
Well, it's a repetition of similar to what he said.
Yes.
Without going into much detail, I hope, inshallah, in the future, 1-2 years, I'll be doing things in Senegal, and somewhere with it running around Ghana. But a lot of it is, like you said, what do we do and how do we pass it along and how do we affiliate, and the people that help you, don't forget them.
Yes.
Then there's always someone watching you. Could be that little boy, and so watch you, and that's how you learn. It's not going to be in a book or on your iPad. It's going to be real life. So as he's doing it, someone will copy and say, "Oh, then it's generated, not transmuted and passed on, and we keep going." If that makes sense for you. There's a continuation of life that keeps going, irrespective of a geographical location. We must realize that happens. So it's a wonderful idea what he's doing. Whatever I can do to help, let me know. I'll go do it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You know, because I like, see, if you started out, I started out a visual artist. I think naturally color, sound, everything else. So I had to learn the hard way. I thought everybody had eyesight like that. Then I had radio and TV. So I could shut up. I left them alone. So artist to artist, if we start talking, the world gets very bright because we start talking ideas. I'm listening to ideas of how he survived and what he did. I'm going, wow, great idea. Listen to his life when he's telling like what he did to survive and how that's wow. It's really something to be applauded. The creativity of how he's found a solution a whole different way. You know, otherwise somebody told him make a painting in blue. They didn't say what kind of blue. Deep blue, indigo blue, dark blue, sky blue, ocean blue. He didn't say, so he made a painting of blue. If you put all those colors together, it's all blue. Can you imagine it? Art is originally, it's a discipline. See, it takes a lot of discipline to stand up 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I mean, I can't show you here pictures I have on the wall. If you ask me, I'll send you a picture of these, but we actually stand up painting, and sometimes I had to paint all night, then get up and still have to get up at 8 o'clock and go to class. People think, oh, you guys are art majors, you have fun all the time. Not like you think. Not like you think. It's a lot of discipline. It's inductive logic, which means you have to think of it, then create it. Deductive logic means you read the book and what they said. Hey, that's easy to me. See,
find your uniqueness.
Yeah, very true.
It's like I think we all have a uniqueness, and the work is not to go far away is to find the uniqueness on you.
Yeah, within yourself. Yeah.
I think everybody.
That's absolutely so good. Wow. Okay. I just want to thank you both for your time today, for sharing your stories, your anecdotes. Both of you are just manifestations of a life dedicated to your craft, the passion, the innovation, the creativity of how you're able to get to be here today is just incredible. And thank you so much for your time. All right, so closing remarks. Thank you. So thank you for watching part 1 of today's dialogue. Stay tuned. We will have a live question and answer both our featured artists following this broadcast. So please feel free to use the chat and continue the conversation with our amazing artist.
Thank you.
Hello. I hope you enjoyed that first part of the dialogue. It was so amazing hearing from both of our guest artists today. My name is Terrain Xavier Moore. I am the Special Projects Manager and Producer for the Festival of Mask. And I want to engage our artists in a quick Q&A, just based on some of the things they shared. First of all, thank you both for just being open and honest and showing up for this opportunity. With that being said, Abdul Latif, I'm wondering if you can tell the people a little bit more about the Dogon and their cosmology that people know them for. I think folks would be interested to know a little bit more about that part of their history.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Dogon is primarily known for the astronomical beliefs. Okay. To be more emphatic, a lot of the things you see when you start talking about from Igbo, Yoruba, Akan, Manding, Dogon, there were 6 different migrations that came out of Kemet and went to West Africa as the Greeks came in and started tearing it apart. So there's these ancient knowledge is still kept in the shrines in West Africa. So what you to be direct, what you run into is knowing about the knowledge of the Dogon and what they know about Sirius, Emetolo, and Sigatolo and all that. The Europeans have a mindset that only they know about anything, and they, with their telescope and satellite, etc., only they could imagine or see something. So if this is true, why don't you go make a pyramid? You haven't made one. You don't know how to make one, but you can observe someone else and be critical. You may start thinking about something. You may start thinking. So when you start talking about the Dogon, you're talking about the astronomical beliefs. And there's a whole diatribe of why the French and why they don't think it, they were doubting it. Marcel Guiraud was doubting it, that, oh, these people couldn't have possibly known that. How could they see over there without a satellite or telescope? And to make a long story short, when they finally got done with everything and looking at everything, they concluded that if Sirius C is ever discovered and found to be a red dwarf, it will conclude that the Dogon information has been fully validated.
Wow.
So you can't tell someone how they know. Knowing is not necessarily by, quote, empirical evidence. And that's what you're dealing with here.
Mm-hmm.
We have this modern day, we have technology. That's what made it possible for Brother George to get murdered. And as people saw it all over the world, whether in Australia, Germany, etc., they are having feelings like, we never saw this before. We see what African American went through. Oh, this is ugly. So this is what changed the narrative and what's happening in this country, which is going to precede a lot of other things worldwide. Dogon is part of it is the Dhamma, different masquerade. And so the culture is still there. All the abstract things that you see and the masquerades are, if you want to say in American terms, cubism and abstract art done that preceded everything in Europe and Africa first, except we didn't call it that same name. So when you start looking at the symbolism and all of that, it carries into your life, and then how you use it within yourself and your mind and your body, etc. Living, Dogon is real. So the Dogon, some of the groups in Africa and West Africa, originally when Islam came in, the Bamana and Dogon, that's why they ended up in the hills. They said, well, we don't want to affiliate with that. And so they removed themselves and went to Bandiagara and in parts of Burkina Faso. Now some of them are Muslim and some of them are Christian, but they still were able to maintain their traditions. And so you're getting to questioning someone about why did they keep their traditions? What does it mean to them? And that's where we shouldn't throw traditions away for anything. We have to keep our traditions because that gives you a foundation.
Right.
I'm talking about traditions that are ethical and moral, not just something fabricated. So when you start talking about Dogon, why do they do that? When you meet a person Dogon in culture, you're gonna have to stand there for about a minute to 5 minutes saying, "How are you? I'm fine." Blah blah blah. The same thing goes on in Yoruba and Nigeria. You couldn't, if you grew up down south, could you walk from your house to the store and not greet the other people, even though they saw you?
I can't.
Even though they saw the neighbor greet you, you still got to say, "Good morning, ma'am. How are you?" And the lady, "Okay, I heard him." Okay, then right next to her, the guy heard everything you said. You have to greet him too. This is part of our culture. See, it's part of the culture. So when you talk about the reality of a mask, the mask was used for particular reasons. But in our real life, what is your mask?
Right.
What is your mask? So there's not this separation, masks for one particular purpose. No, what are you using that mask for? If you are a melanated person in this country, when you go to the average educational institution or business, and you might be the one and only person there, you have to be aware, because you can't predict how they may be kind, they may not be so kind. So what's the mask you wear, Toran? See, it's life. So
Right.
I'm not associating the mask with something physical and a mask that you put on. There's also a mask of survival.
Right.
See, so we've learned to survive in a culture that's really not very friendly. So what is the mask? Sometimes you have to have a plain face. We are African males. And if we're not lighter skinned and we don't smile every time someone says something, then they accuse us of being angry. We're supposed to go all day long. No, we're not. Is it our issue? Not really. So look at the mask that we must utilize just to live sometimes, just to live. You don't have the same thing happening at home in Africa or Jamaica and other places like that. But here, you better be aware. You better be aware of where of your surrounding. Is that a mask? In all reality, yes, it is. It's for survival. So the mask had a traditional use, usually for either funeral rituals, divinations, etc. And that's what the Dogon and every mask within every society and every culture within the heritage of Africa is really about. But in the modern day, it has gotten so you have so many visitors, as you saw on the I think the video yesterday. They had the Dogons doing their drumming, and behind them were a whole group of European visitors watching. So you have to realize this is part of life now. Like, okay, we're doing this. It doesn't mean that we're actually trying to do the ritual or the divination or the funeral ceremony. We're just showing these people part of what we do. See, so it doesn't delineate the original purpose of the mask, and it doesn't delineate the secret society and the knowledge that's passed on and all that. What it does is it just simply, if you want to say it's commercial, it gives them a taste of what you really do. But if they want to go further, it's up to them to go further. See,
Right.
in other words, you put your toe in the water. You didn't put your whole foot in.
Right. And I want to bring Aziz
that
into this conversation because I feel like he has some wonderful thoughts. I mean,
Sure.
especially from our pre-dialogue. Aziz, can you hear us?
I don't think.
Hey, there we go. So, we're talking about one, I mean, we talked about this idea of tradition. I think through your work, that you're allowing younger artists to come in. You're also teaching these printmaking classes. Like you are passing on your traditions. Like you said, you can't take it with you. Then there's the other idea of, these mass traditions, that we're expanding to the larger context of not just a physicalized carved mask, right? The mask we wear every day. So I was wondering, so my real question, if we're taking a step back and also relating it to our theme of looking back and moving forward, Chosan for this year, how would you interpret that theme of looking back, moving forward?
To move forward, that's basically a must to not to do a wrong spot or not wrong foot or wrong march.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to look backwards, actually learn from your back to can go forward easily. And that I think the maintaining those masks, keeping them alive,
mm-hmm.
is forward. I think that's the most important thing. That must be the first step, and give the new generation the liberty to keep those masks and add something on it. They can add, they can make it abstract, that they can make it a Picasso, however the future can take it. You need the will, you need the subject, the will things for you to can change it or to can add on it. And, keeping the tradition, I think that's there is no any other choices. Yeah, for me, I don't see it's not even a question. Is your heritage, and you should hug it and take it and put it in your forefront and everything you do. There is a lot of way of manifesting your heritage. You can do it to the way you greet somebody, the way you interact with somebody, because you basically but you representing, like especially for Black people, you representing the mass. Everything you do, basically you affecting, older people. I think the other group that does not apply to them for some reason. I don't know how that happened. But I come back to the mass. I think, using it in our work, using it as a musician, putting it in their albums, be proud of it. Like Picasso didn't invent the mask, but he made it popular to his people. He introduced it to his people, but like even the mask existed. He exploited the mask doing cubism. He couldn't bring the mask to give to everyone, but he can show the both sides of the mask. Basically, that's what cubism is. Take one dimension, make it a 2-3 dimensional in a piece of paper, then showing them both sides of the mask. And after doing it once and twice, he just moved the mask away and used it in his own work. But he is holding the tradition, like maybe with not the same intention we have, but it's just that. I think is as long as we're teaching it like the same things, this festival of the mask, there is somebody who will take it further than what your intention is, even bigger and greater. I think it's a good idea.
So I guess for those, new culture bearers, or those, really kind of coming into these new traditions, some like they have to start somewhere. So, I'm hearing like the Mask Festival is a great opportunity to kind of begin learning some of those traditions and histories. Are there some other resources, or maybe there like other opportunities that you would direct young people to in order to learn more about their tradition and their heritage?
I think actually what you're doing right now, I think now you don't even have to be, you have to have a combination, a historian or somebody who can collect that data, and then maybe that will be, this is the only time right now, you create a new job. Somebody maybe, I never see it because people just go to Google. Somebody can come genuinely going around. I'll help you. I'll get you people who know African mask and sell them. You can come question them, each one of them, and just to get a Google database, you know, telling the story based on your own perspective. If not, the other person will do it in their own perspective and whatever they want to do. For people go to Google, I don't think you can really see African mask and Google to give you the will, you know, will things, but you will have to do a lot of research, different places to have it. But I think is will be good to just maybe. I don't have too much knowledge of every area because Africa is too damn big. Then I just know few areas. Then I think collecting the data would have been a good, you know, like next year would have been like everybody would be going there and sell it to Google or whatever you want to do. But I so far the internet is the best things we have. Yeah. Unfortunately.
We have a question.
Or just maybe Africa.
We have a question in the chat, and I want to Abdul Latif. I want to see if you want to chime in on this. So from one of our guests, KP said, when I was in high school over 30 years ago, I did research in a paper on masks, and they represent spiritually. Do you consider spiritually when you work on your arts, or is it something learned or a special society as mentioned earlier? So how you want to chime in on that? I know we've had some conversations about mask and the learning and the practices of learning mask and their processes of creation. So I look to you to answer that question.
It's
both of you, if you know, it's open forum.
Okay. It is both. I mean, it's not as if you simply say you have to learn technique. Well, you can learn technique, but the art comes from within you, and the spirituality comes from within you also. So you take that technique and you use that with you to define whatever it is you're looking for in terms of the task. So your own spirituality is how you approach that yourself, how you utilize it. No one else can tell you that. See, so when you're doing your arts, you can call it, if you want to, you can simply say it's a spiritual process in terms of all creativity is a mental, emotional, and also a spiritual process. You can't separate it. Is it learned? Some of it is learned. Some of it. There are special societies when you start talking about doing the dance and the carving, etc. There are special societies that they're not telling you the significance, etc., behind the carving, etc. There are special societies for in terms of the dance, the drumming, etc. Not everything is just completely out and open as a tourist. So when you see certain mask, you can see it. You might even be able to see it on Google, but it doesn't mean you know how they carved it and what that meant and the significance of it.
Right.
It's the same thing as he's saying when he's saying the symbols, and when you put them together, what do they really mean? This goes back from here into Kemet and still proceeds and lives across Africa. You know, on your clothing, it's part of life. But when you're not aware of it, There's not much anyone can say. You're not aware. When you
Right.
become aware, then you start seeing. I don't know if that's making truth to you. If you look at the apex of a pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go inside the pyramid and look up. There's your cross. If you take a pyramid and put it on top of your leg, what will it do? And if you put food in it, it will dry it. No bugs, nothing. So what did they do with the pyramid? What was some of the knowledge? See, so we tend to think it's because you're coming from a Eurocentric premise, they think everything is about, oh, you couldn't have possibly done that. You don't have a big crane. You didn't have all the tools we have. You don't know what they did. You don't know the knowledge that they have. And you still, like I said, you still can't make one. So what are you talking about? But you're still talking. So don't be dissuaded and don't demean yourself because you think you don't know. No, it's within you. As I said, it comes from your DNA within your spirit, then it comes out. As you do more, it's able to manifest. But if you never let it open, how can anything come out? It can't. It can't. It won't. So it can be considered part of your spirituality as anything else. What is not part of your spirituality?
Right.
You're sitting in the chair. How can you can't separate it like, well, I'm being spiritual now I'm going to be physical. Really? No. Everything you do has a part of your spirituality in it. Now the rest is your own cognition as to how much you want to evaluate and say how much is, if you want to say some is more than others. No. A lot of it is apprentice. When you start talking about mask making, you start getting to carving, the different woods, the symbols and all that. That's going to take time. And how do you carve that? So the artists, if we look at a tree, we see how to get the grain and how to do that, where someone else will just take a chainsaw and cut it up. The same as if you had to go carve the drum. How do you see that and see how to go with the grain? All this is, most of it is taught and learned. As you said, you can learn some of it faster because you grew up around it. Does that help you?
I mean, yeah, that was super helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
We don't have a ton of time left, so I want to make sure I first just begin by saying thanks to both of you for sharing your knowledge in true theme of Chosan. Paying it forward. So I hope folks who are in the room and folks who find this recording on our social media and our website are more enlightened as Brittany and I were from just the dialogue. Of course, this is part of the Day of the Ancestors Festival of Mask at the Leimert Park Art Walk. So this is not our only touch point throughout the next couple of months. We still have Saturday workshops with our Sankofa Arts and our mask making workshops on Saturdays at 11 and 1. And then we will be coming back next month with another diaspora dialogue as well on June 13th. So, there are plenty of opportunities to stay in touch and stay in contact with the Festival of Mask. Again, our Saturday workshops happening at 11 and 1. Specifically, we have some more upcoming ones, June 5th and June 19th. So we're really excited about those. So please keep your eyes out on our newsletter. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, visit our website and sign up for that. Our social media, please follow us at LA Commons. Or, if you see it, or if you're in Leimert Park, just come and find us. We were talking about that spirit of community. So, just ask anybody about the Mask Festival. Please visit our website at www.lacommons.org for more information. All of our programming is available there. And without any further words, we give you back time to your afternoon. We're so thankful for you all having participated and visited with us today. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and we hope to see you at one of our other programming slots. Thank you, Abdul Latif. Thank you, Aziz. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Marcela.